The lawyers for the accused in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case have continued to cross-examine Zandile Khumalo on her testimony of the events leading to the murder of the Bafana soccer star. They questioned her about her relationship with Senzo and that of her sister Kelly Khumalo. Zandile said her sister Kelly had made several attempts to end the relationship. Now, Zandile Khumalo is the first witness to give her testimony in the restarted trial. Let's talk more about this case with criminal law expert Ian Allis. A very good afternoon to you, Ian. Thank you so much for your time. The presiding judge is really taking a no-nonsense approach in this matter and really seems to be keeping his court in order. Would you agree?
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon to the viewers as well. There's definitely a complete change from what was to what is now with regards to the rehearing of the matter from the beginning. I think every judge has their own approach to how they want to deal with the case, and they're entitled to it. It's within their discretion, and it's how they actually feel comfortable. Some are more lenient, some will grant a bit more latitude. The thing is, I think what has happened in this case, primarily with a lot of the factors running up to this rehearing, was that the case was almost made a circus of, and that wasn't through the fault of through the judge, but through the actions of counsel, through what was being issued by witnesses. And I think he's seen what has happened and the potential for controversy, and from that point, he's decided to actually take a robust approach, which is correct.
And in terms of Zandile Khumalo,
and I think that's necessary at the moment with what actually took place, especially in regards to Tefu's conduct earlier on in the trial, and his actions and averments that were made.
Yeah. And looking at Zandile Khumalo's testimony, should there be any concerns, given that she now has a second opportunity to give evidence, that perhaps she could have refined her evidence? I mean, is that something that could stand out as an area of concern?
It could. Whenever you've got a person providing new evidence again, it can always be looked at in a different context and in a different way, and especially since you can't really repeat the exact same thing over and over again. There is a lot of latitude for a person's testimony to change, and it is changing. You can see there's a lot of subtle changes, but there are changes. Not as if her credibility is flawless at this present moment, because just looking at certain of the responses that she's had to cross-examination, unfortunately, it's starting to look even more sketchier than it did the first time around. But that, I think, is even more of a problem now, is that because she's getting to I wouldn't say refine her testimony, she's actually getting an opportunity to because she knows what to expect this time, to be more cagey and disclose less in her than she may have previously.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the line will stand. Given that, this is the second time round and that the trial is being heard again, how do you think this will now impact the prosecution and perhaps the defense's strategies?
For the prosecution, it's going to be a lot harder, because there's also been, number one, the evidence degraded further. Secondly, the memories of people has gotten even worse. If you take a look, it's been over a year, in essence, since the first witness started giving testimony. There's been also certain deaths of certain of the state witnesses as well, which has complicated issues to have. And the initial witness retestify, it's going to be more of an uphill battle, because as it was, there was issues of contamination of the evidence and queries over procedures. Those are not going to improve. In fact, those are going to get highlighted even more in this retrial, if one could call it that.
Yeah. And what do you think would be some of the dangers for the other witnesses who are also set to return to the stand?
The problem is that they'll never be able to restate what they said in the past. So obviously, if a question is asked and posed in a different way, it can undermine their credibility as well as the truth. You take a look at certain of the witnesses, especially in regards to the Senzo friend who gave evidence, who, as it was under cross-examination, was very iffy at best, and wasn't a prime example of a good contained witness, because he was shifting all over the place as well as trying to cover up from the Netflix disclosure. That's good. Now, in essence, he's going to give his third version of the events now in this retrial. It's more and more of an uphill battle for them, and especially trying to go ahead and remember what he said the last time that he testified over a span of a few months with a break is also just going to be more of a problem. And unfortunately, what's taken place as well in a situation like this is that because of the delays in the first trial, there were major lengthy periods where between people starting to testify and ending their testimony. And that as well, the human memory is fallible, especially now. It's, in essence, another year, more time passed with regards to the death. To remember the nuances is just going to be harder and harder.
Yeah, very well. Thank you so much. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. That line not holding too well. Of course, speaking there to criminal law expert Ian Allis as we try and make sense of the Senzo Meyiwa retrial.